something happened. I'm not sure when this shift took place, but I realized as I was working on beta revisions for book 2 of my Restless Spirit series yesterday that something happened, something shifted. And I am invested in my characters. I care about what's happening to them now. Not to say that I didn't before, but I'm more invested in a way that reminds me of when I was a younger writer, where I still had a lot of hopes and dreams for my characters. And many of my characters were, or many of the characters I was working with, I should say, were not my own. They were somebody else's intellectual property, so I already had a connection to them. I felt very invested in the lives that they were living that someone else had created, but I wondered what might happen if certain events took place in their lives. And that's where some of my writing happened, in that space where some might say it was fan fiction. I did, as I've mentioned before, come close to getting a book published as a tie-in to the television show Quantum Leap. And I was very, very invested in the lives of Sam Beckett and Al Calavici and Donna Elise Beckett and everybody, Ziggy, Gushy, all the characters in Quantum Leap. I was very, very invested in that show and the characters. And when I had a face-to-face meeting with the editor who expressed interest in some of my stories, she mentioned that she felt I was a Sam girl, which was very much the case. I was most invested in Sam Beckett and what was happening to him in the course of leaping from life to life, trying to put right what once went wrong, and hoping each time that his next leap would be the leap home. Yes, I still remember the intro from the 1990s TV show Quantum Leap. Some things just stick with you. So I found that time to be very exciting. I was still, about that time I was probably in my early 30s, so 3 decades ago. And a lot of life was still very new and exciting. Over time, I'm seeing that the more I learn and the more I experience, the less of that incredible excitement I feel with things, which is not to say that life is bad. Some things are still exciting, and I do look forward to things, but it's not at the same level as when I was younger. But yesterday, when I was working on Restless Spirits Book 2, and I was making revisions based on the comments that my beta readers left, I realized that I was feeling some of that excitement again. I'm almost 2 years into retirement now, and it has taken me this long to get back to a place where I feel like a writer. Because when I was in my 20s, as a young mother, as a young wife, the other way I identified myself was as a writer, and I lost that over time because I went out and had other jobs and other experiences, and the writer part of me was always there, but I think it got pushed down deep inside so that I could take the time to do all the things that needed to be done, because I just didn't have the energy to do everything I wanted to do. So writer me ended up kind of shoved aside and maybe forgot about the joy that is writing, the joy that I feel when writing, the joy of creating a world, creating characters, giving them experiences based on things that I might have done or things that I might imagine doing. And getting that feeling of excitement again is exciting. I mean, what else can I say? I am so happy to be in this place where I feel like a writer again. I feel like the characters I'm creating have lives of their own. They may be something that will appeal to readers somewhere along the way, because I think maybe part of my issue in my most recent writing is that I wasn't feeling attached enough to what I was working on. And I'm thinking maybe that feeling of attachment will carry over and readers will pick pick up on it, or at least I hope so. So something happened, and I feel it's a wonderful something. I hope it continues. I am still working on beta revisions for Restless Spirits Book 2. I need to get them done very soon because I have other commitments. I am beta reading a book for someone else. I have book 3 to work on. We have an upcoming release for JT, which I mentioned in yesterday's video. So if you did not see that, please check it out. It is Finding Salvation, the trilogy novella compilation that goes along with his Serving Salvation series. So I feel that's a very worthwhile book to check out. And as I said yesterday, it is available for pre-sale now. So please go and order a copy. It will come out on March 17th, 2026. And I think you'll enjoy it. JT also has another book, which I again mentioned yesterday, that will be coming out probably in July. It is currently with his first editor. It is related to the Salvation universe, but it takes place on Earth instead of, Finding Salvation basically is the events around the launching of the ship Salvation. Serving Salvation takes place 3,000 years after that, when the Salvation is about to arrive at their new home. But the book that is currently in edits is a companion to Finding Salvation. So it takes place in the time period before the 3,000 years has passed. And it deals with the people who are left behind on Earth, who will not be going out to seek out a new home. And they're left with the mess that is Earth, because humans have decided they can't live on this planet anymore, and they need to find somewhere else. So the people who are left behind, how do they deal with that? How will they survive? And that's where that part of the story is going. So please, I hope you will check them out. Like I said, actually at the end of this, I should be able to link to yesterday's video, so you can go check that out. But in the meantime, like I said, I'm going to be continuing to work on my Restless Spirit series. I'm going to enjoy this newfound excitement that I'm feeling, this return maybe to feeling more like my younger self. Like I said, I'm almost 2 years into the retirement thing, from my day job at least, because JT and I have been working really hard this past couple of years. And it's actually a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. And dealing with what my characters are facing is helping me handle some of the things that I am facing, since I have aged up my characters. The ones in my current book, in book 2 of Restless Spirits, are actually a decade older than myself. The characters in book 1, Passion Restored, which is already available, are a decade younger than myself. So at some point I may come up with a couple that is in my specific age bracket, but for some reason I felt the need to be around my age without being my age, if that makes any sense. And I'm hoping that readers may find a part of themselves in what I'm writing, and some of the questions I'm asking, and maybe they might agree or disagree with how these stories end up, because things aren't always easy for the characters. Getting older doesn't mean that life just stops, because a lot is still going on. We still have kids and grandkids, or if not that, we have other things that we hope to accomplish, and we're not sitting on our front porch in a rocking chair. So it is something that I am enjoying the exploration of, and like I said, something happened, and it's really put me in a good place today. So as you can see, I'm not upstairs right now. I'm actually down in the basement, and the reason for that is we're having a lot of wind today, and I think it's probably even noticeable down here. So if you hear any noises, it's either the sump pump, which is currently going off, or the wind. We did have probably a foot of snow last week, which it gradually melted until yesterday, when the temperatures raised quite a bit. We went up into the 50s again. So most of the snow is gone. We are forecast for rain, and it has been sprinkling a little bit today. So the water levels are definitely rising, and that's why our sump pump is running. So hopefully it's not too annoying, but the hum you hear in the background is probably that pump. Any other noises you hear are probably the house creaking in the wind, because boy, it's wild out there. But this is the best kind of weather for sitting down to write, because we're less distracted by the thought that it's so nice outside, we need to go out and do something fun. I think it's much easier to hunker down and get some work done during the winter months when it's cold and I don't really feel like going out to shovel snow, even though I did. So it's also a wonderful time to read, and I hope you will check out the books that JT and I have released so far. You can get autographed copies of them on our website at carsonhume.square.site. That is our online bookstore. We will continue to add our new releases to that as we go. I don't think JT currently has any advanced copies of Finding Salvation, but if you keep an eye out, you may be able to snag one before they're released to the general public. Also, if you sign up for our newsletter, which we send out maybe once a month, you also get notifications when we post our podcast each week. So if you sign up for that, you can get the first part of the Finding Salvation trilogy for free, just by signing up. If you're already a newsletter subscriber, thank you. And you can just contact us at contact@twomorebooks.com to get your either PDF or EPUB version of the first part of Finding Salvation. Finding Salvation Part 1 is also available as an ebook across the platforms for 99 cents if you'd like to help us out that way by just spending $1 maybe. We would really appreciate it. The first part will continue to be available across all the platforms separately, kind of as a taste for the compilation. But the compilation itself will come out in both paperback and ebook. And as I said, it will be available on March 17th, 2026, which is coming up pretty quick. Can't believe we're almost into March now. Oh, we're winding down the second month of this year, and so far it's been a good year on a personal level. I know things in the wider world are difficult for a lot of people, and I don't even know what to say about that, other than I feel a deep sense of sadness for some of the things that are happening. But that's not what I'm here to discuss today. I'm here to talk about how happy I'm feeling with my writing. Oh, if you are someone who is interested in becoming a writer, if you are in the new early phases of writing, you might understand exactly how I'm feeling without me explaining it to you. And I hope that you manage to hold on to that feeling, because it doesn't take much to lose it along the way. So many things happen in our lives that take us away from what we really love doing, and finding our way back can be quite exciting. So that's my discussion for today, talking about the something that happened and why I'm so happy about it. Because like I said, I'm feeling things that I haven't felt since I was in my 20s. And at this point in my life, that's a wonderful experience, because as I said, life gets so mundane. Maybe you become used to so many more things that we forget that there still are things to experience out there. One of the things I hope to experience at some point is maybe to be successful enough as a writer for people to actually interact with me the way they have been with JT. He had somebody read the Serving Salvation series, and she was chatting with him as she went through the books, because they played together on an online game site. And he really enjoyed that experience. So I'm looking forward to maybe having that happen to me at some point. But I will say that finding my audience has been challenging so far, but I am taking steps to find my demographic. And I'll talk more about that probably tomorrow, because I actually have to wrap this up. I do have an appointment coming up really quick with some other authors of a similar age. And like I said, I'll talk more about that tomorrow. But in the meantime, I thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope everything's going well where you are. You're having a good day and a good week so far, and that you have some exciting things to look forward to. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is the Life of a Writer. Take care.